I'm Brian Eno. This is my studio. It's a bit of a mess tonight because I've got a party in the next room. And that party is BASIC's annual meeting, where we try to encourage the rest of the world to take interest in the fact that there are still 23,000 nuclear weapons in the world, which is something we seem to have forgotten about.
And with your idea of a basic evening is having 130 close friends around. But my job is really, as Tony Blair once said to George Bush, my job is just to help get the thing started. Anyway, and Tony Blair also ruled himself out last week after his performance at the Chilcot inquiry, which was just quite extraordinary. And I think at one stage, I heard him say, he said about Saddam, he said Saddam was a monster who used weapons of mass destruction to destabilise the region. And I thought, well, that makes two of you. Anyway, BASIC, for those of you who don't know, stands basically for Brian and some interesting chums.
I think one of the things that made a big impression on me was visiting Hiroshima, and there are these three ladies who survivors that have given their lives to retelling their experiences. And this one lady very quietly told of how after the explosion and the flash and so on, she managed to get up and saw this figure coming out of a lake, it seemed to be, with something trailing behind her, and this figure began making their way towards her. And then she realized very soon that it was her daughter coming towards her, and the thing behind her was her skin.
The nuclear weapon is probably the most dangerous weapon ever invented. It's one of the only ones that's capable of destroying all life on this planet, just finishing us off. And somehow we've become complacent over the last 70 years because there hasn't been a nuclear war. We've begun to forget that this poses the terrible dangers that it does.
There's a lot of fissile material around, which is available to people we'd rather not have it.
With Al-Qaeda buying farmland in Australia so they can mine their uranium, it's a very real threat. I think the knowledge about how to make a bomb is becoming more commonplace.
There are lots of weapons around, and for various reasons this is rather menacing. First of all, they're getting older, which increases the chance of an accident.
Not so long ago, the world was literally put at risk. This was the occasion when a flight of geese led the Russian early warning system to decide that they were being attacked by missiles from the United States. And only at the very last moment, a Norwegian expert determined that this was unlikely to be just a flight of missiles. It was probably, as it was, a flight of geese.
It really looks very important that we learn to cooperate as a world on some of these issues that can only be addressed globally. Nuclear disarmament is one of those issues. It doesn't really make all that much sense, I think, for one country to stop being a nuclear power. We have to do it together.
We're a global world. We are interdependent. We are going to live or die together. Live or die together. And that's not fully understood. Countries still behave as if they were living in the 19th or 20th century. So the great leap of imagination we have to take is to get every single country to see itself as part of the whole, to approach it holistically, and then say, what can I do to contribute towards maintaining a world of peace, a world without nuclear weapons?
It's impossible for us to really sustain the moral high ground and to say to other countries like Iran and North Korea, you can't develop nuclear weapons, but we'll keep ours, please. I think that puts us in an impossible position.
Ultimately, of course, we have, I think, to put off any final decision about Trident for as long as possible, so that we can see whether the world is moving in a direction in which we might be able to play a very significant part by deciding to get rid of our own nuclear deterrent altogether.
In the Prague speech, Barack Obama described a world that was free of nuclear weapons. No sane person in the world doesn't aspire to live in that world.
And in my lifetime, I have seen the impossible happen. I've seen the Vietnam War end. I've seen Vietnam unite and welcome back soldiers that fought against them in the spirit of reconciliation and vacation. I have seen the people of Eastern Europe throw off oppressive dictatorships that held them down for decades. I've seen the Berlin Wall collapse, Germany unite, the Soviet Union fall apart. I've seen people who killed each other for generations, Protestants and Catholics, shake hands and unite to rule Northern Ireland. I have seen a man walk out of a prison cell that held him for 28 years to become elected the president of a free and majority-ruled South Africa. So when we talk about eliminating nuclear weapons, don't tell me this can't be done. With leaders like Ellen Tauscher and Sam Nunn and the volunteers that are in this room today and organizations like BASIC, there isn't a doubt in my mind that to answer to that question, can we eliminate nuclear weapons? Yes, of course we can. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
It's also, for me, the chance of a generation, the chance for people who are just getting involved in this issue to understand that being a responsible citizen of the planet is more than turning off your lights when you're not in the room. It's more than changing your light bulb. It's changing the minds of our politicians. It's telling them what you want, which is a world that not only is dedicated to stopping global warming, but stopping the one weapon that can eliminate humankind from the planet. I urge you to get involved, take a step, talk to your friends, join this international consensus that it's time to eliminate nuclear weapons.